Liam Coen's running back was a league winner in 2024. Will Liam Coen's running back be a league winner in 2025? Buck, I'm betting yes. But you have to tell me which of the 5 guys, and I did say 5, Bhayshul Tuten, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, LaQuint Allen, or Keelan Robinson. You tell me, Buck, which one of these Liam Coen Jacksonville Jaguars running backs is gonna be the winner?
It's going to be Tank, man. It's going to be Tank. I'm in the tank for Tank. His name is Cartavius Bigsby. Let's show him some respect. On his birth certificate, it says Cartavius, which is I feel like a better name than Tank.
You think Cartavius is better than Tank? I don't know, man. Tank is a pretty good name for a running back.
Yeah, but it's like a trope. This dude's name is Cartavius.
It's very interesting. Mike Clay clearly has the backfield projected for a ton of work. 1,500 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, 74 backfield receptions, 550 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 272 fantasy points as a grouping. And this is with not a huge improvement from Trevor Lawrence, right? Has quarterback Trevor Lawrence as quarterback 15. Obviously, the Jaguars offense is one of the easiest ones to bet on being ascendant this year. You have a very good, competent second wide receiver. You have fine rotational guys like De'Ami Brown's a fine rotational guy. But we saw what Liam Coen did for Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And by the way, it's not just Mike Clay. A lot of fantasy points being projected in the backfield as well by my friends Dwayne McFarland and Matthew Friedman over at Fantasy Life. Again, over 300 points actually in the Fantasy Life projections for the backfield here in Jacksonville. So this is a backfield we want.
Right.
But underdog drafters and in general fantasy football drafters, they can't make up their mind as to which one they want, which I think is pretty interesting that we have the backfield set up this way.
Underdog drafters are uniquely qualified to never let go of their priors. It's crazy. I know Tank, everybody had high hopes for him, as they do with literally every single rookie running back. They had high hopes for Tank when he came in. He fucking fell on his face. It was a disaster. The Peterson Jags were marginally better than the Urban Meyer Jags, I guess, in 2023. And Tank came back with a vengeance the next year. He was terrible in 2023. He was a 3rd round pick. I really don't know why. He only had 50 carries. It's a small sample size, and we all counted him as dead. He was free last year in Underdog. I drafted him in the 18th round just on principle because of how high you guys drafted him the year before.
He sure was pretty bad on his 80 snaps and 50 rushing attempts, man. That is quite the profile he had.
Was, but man, listen. He looked fucking good last year. He actually looked really good. I start with the film and then I look into the numbers, and Cartavius has it. He had it right away. You looked at Etienne running and you looked at Cartavius running and you say, one of these guys is good. One of these guys is a dust ball. Tank had a ton of chunk gains. He had a 65-yard touchdown. He had another one. He was tackled right at the 1. He's, breaking tackles. He's making the right decisions. His vision looked very improved. Their Jags O-line was good in pass blocking, but it was fucking shit in the run game last year. They were 25th in run block win rate last year. And Tank was 86th in yards before contact per attempt. But he finished 16th of all running backs in yards after contact per attempt with that shit line, despite being 86th in yards before contact. And he was just ahead of Bucky Irving at 16th overall, all running backs for yards after contact. Derrick Henry was the only other running back with over 100 carries to finish ahead of Tank in the metric. Garendo, who I also like with 84, was next. He's good. Something was up in 2023, but I don't think Liam Coen is going to overlook what's under the hood with Cartavius. In fact, I think he's likely to really be excited about it because he had Bucky Irving, who's a fucking awesome runner. And last year, on 40 more carries than Bigsby, he had a 2.7 yards before contact per attempt, 1 yard more than Bigsby, and a 2.6 yards after contact per attempt, 0.1 yard less than Tank. So Tank had one more broken tackle and a breakaway TD on way less carries. He's getting a heavier Bucky Irving on this new offense. That's how I feel. He's like fat Bucky.
Well, look, you definitely are correct. He is getting a bigger Bucky Irving. but it's not the guy that you think, and I'm so sad to be the one breaking this to you. So these are some of the college comps for our boy Tank Bigsby with all of his information inputted, right? You've got your classic, your Shipleys, your Akers, your Gallmans, your Spillers. David Montgomery shows up, which is pretty interesting. Your Paul Perkins, your Mike Davis, your Duke Johnsons, your Jonathan Brooks, your Zach Mosses. All of these guys make total sense to me as comps for Tank Bigsby. They are... Yeah, they're early. I mean, Mike Davis learned how to be a pass catcher later in his career, but they are kind of early down grinders. And that is not the role that I expect my boy Bhayshul Tuten to occupy for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that these projections, whichever one you want, I think they're all too low on Tuten for a couple of reasons. The first one being is that you actually very well could be right. Bigsby, a good pick in the 160s on Underdog. Right now, Etienne goes at pick 124. Tuten goes at pick 115. Bigsby goes at pick 152. I think that Etienne is the worst price of these guys. If you look at Etienne's stuff in his career, 2.4 yards after contact average last year when Bigsby was over 3.5, 2.87 yards after contact the year before. The one good year of his career 3 years ago, all the way back in 2022, 64 missed tackles. He had 17 missed tackles forced on 150 rush attempts last year. Etienne did a 19% breakaway rate. He hasn't been over 25% breakaway rate since 2022. I think we, career 1.05 yards per route run. Pretty brutal for a guy who's supposed to be a pass catcher. Now Etienne has some contextual stuff that goes in his favor. Probably the biggest one being he was a first round pick and he was college teammates with Trevor Lawrence. I mean,
some would say that's why he was a first round pick, though.
Some would say it, but those are contextual factors that just tend to help NFL players for a really long time, and they never really go away. I mean, I think nowhere is more clear that is true than Kaiir Elam actually got traded for. Like the worst cornerback in the NFL got traded away from the Buffalo Bills to the Dallas Cowboys. Being a former first round pick earns you, it earns you quite a bit. So you might be asking, like, what is it about this fourth round rookie from Virginia Tech that gets you so excited? The first being, I mean, he was so awesome at North Carolina A&T, and he was awesome at Virginia Tech, playing in what was like a pretty frigid offensive environment. He played with Kyron. What is it? Kyron Drone? It's not Kyron Drones, but it's something like that. Who was like this run only, not a passing quarterback at all. He was a total workhorse, and his Sims. I mean, it basically shows the hollowed name of running back prospects. If you look at his Sims over at the RotoViz Prospect Box Score Scout, it gives you Jamal Charles. Very similar career rushing yards per game, very similar final season receptions, very similar total career yardage.
I see Tank down there, bud.
That's very funny. That's very funny that Bigsby would be in there.
He has Fat Bucky and Skinny Bucky on the new team.
I would totally hear an argument that Etienne is the one who is likely to be excised here, whether it be a cut, whether it be a trade, whether it be a Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation for the Kansas City Chiefs, where they just straight benched him. I mean, that is what the Chiefs did.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, they did. I should say that I'm aligned with you on Tuten. Like, I want to get like double the field on Tuten if he sticks around this price. The problem is I think something's going to happen, in my opinion, probably with Etienne, where the two remaining are going to shoot up in ADP. So I feel like now is the time to get Tuten and Bigsby. If you're me, and if you're someone else, maybe you'll want to get Tuten and Etienne. But I think like we just watched Devin Etienne get like only people like us were in on Etienne. And then he was a complete smash, and he's not too dissimilar from Tuten, right? I mean, he's like a heavier Tuten.
I mean, that is kind of what people. I mean, he basically had the same combine as Devin Etienne did, but instead of doing it at 185 pounds, he did it at
Right.
210 pounds. And he also was a 3-year workhorse, not a 1-year
Yeah,
workhorse. But I
and
mean,
I do not want to overlook that. Like I don't want to be out on Tuten just for that reason alone at the cost that he's at, because it's like, I mean, you can absorb, if Tuten is a zero somehow, you can absorb it there. And same with Tank too. And honestly, frankly, the same with Etienne. I just think Etienne fucking sucks, man. I think he sucks, and I
I
think
think
that
he just never really recovered from the Liz Frank. But I do think that maybe we
also
are.
miscast.
It's possible. It's possible that we just are misremembering how bad he was, because he did rack up 150 attempts last year and 39 receptions. I mean, he got a lot of touches and just did absolutely nothing with it. I mean, look at how many of
He
these
looked
games
bad.
where he's sub 70 and PFF run grade. Like, these are 17 missed tackles on 150 rushes is really, really bad for a guy who is
Yes,
supposed to be a pace and space
and it's
NFL runner.
yeah, especially contrasted with like the guy who like 100% of people thought would be a zero again last year in Tank Bigsby, you know?
Yes. I mean, that is we haven't touched on that yet. Obviously, Bigsby is basically the worst running back in the NFL in 2023, much
There you go.
better in 2024. I mean, he had the huge game against the Patriots. He had a couple like long breakaway runs. I believe he had one against Indianapolis. He had like a 65. Yeah, he had the 65 yard
65-yard touchdown. It was a
touchdown
great
run.
run. It was a great run. It was a
Yeah.
really strong run.
And then, another unspoken element here is just how successful Liam Coen was last year with Tampa Bay. They were 4th in the NFL in points scored, 3rd in the NFL in yards, while only being 10th in the NFL in rush attempts.
Right.
I think that Liam Coen is just a guy that you want to have pieces of. It's why we're, buying Trevor Lawrence again. It is why we are jamming Travis Hunter all the way
Yeah.
up
I mean,
our
jamming,
draft
that's a
boards.
whole other thought experiment. Travis Hunter and BTJ, their ADPs. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a different video. But like, I think the larger point that we're working towards is that you're probably going to want two of these guys, right? You're probably going to want two of these guys, and maybe both of them contribute meaningfully and ping pong, or you pay decent prices for two guys and only one of them smashes. I feel like everybody should be in on two of these guys.
I think that is fine. And even if you wanted to do, I wouldn't push back that much about Etienne being included there. The pushback that I would give is I think that Etienne very well might be cut or very well might be
Yeah.
traded. He only
They
costs $6
declined his
million.
fifth year option, right?
No, the old regime picked it up. So that's the other thing. The regime that drafted Etienne was 2 regimes ago. The regime that picked up his first year option is gone. He was a Trent Baalke first round
He's
pick.
fucked.
Yeah. So it's not great for Etienne. And just looking at these projections, I find it interesting that Dwayne is basically middling it between the 3 of them while giving Etienne most of the receiving work, because I actually feel like the biggest win for fantasy would be Etienne going the way of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, whether that's benching, cutting, or trading. You use Bigsby as kind of the early down grinder.
Yeah.
I would compare this to if you wanted to shoehorn it into an archetype, I would say Tuten would be the Gibbs, Bigsby would be the Montgomery, or even a Mostert A-chain backfield, actually, to stick to that style of coaching tree.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, where both of them are kind of used interchangeably, where both of them are getting some passes. I don't imagine Bigsby being super involved as a pass catcher. And the pushback is, I can't believe you slappy idiots are taking a 4th round running back in the 10th round. First pushback on that is, it was a weird running back class in the sense that there was a lot of guys. So some guys who would have normally been a 2nd or 3rd round pick got pushed back into the 4th because these teams were saying, well, we don't care which one we get.
Right.
We don't. In fact, my best evidence of that is that the Texans let Woody Marks fall to the 4th round, but then when they thought he was going to go, they traded a future 3rd round pick just to trade up to go and get him. So I'm not viewing that as a huge death knell. And
that's
the other
a real
reason,
dynasty league ass move right there.
that's a real dynasty league ass move right there. But then the other thing is they don't have any, like, there's Etienne nor Bigsby is so good and so entrenched that a 4th round rookie, if they have a strong camp, couldn't be involved. And I mean, we haven't even mentioned my boy LaQuint Allen, who led college football running backs in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns last year, and had some of the best pass pro. So I do wonder if he makes things a little bit annoying.
7th round pick, though. We got to talk about it. He's a 7th round pick. I mean, you expect special teams contributions with a 7th round pick. However, this draft class, it was like just leaving, gold at the bottom with the depth of the RB talent in this class. So like, it's hard to really weigh out like, oh, where would LaQuint have gone last year? Like he might have been like a 4th, just based on team need and like how they value capital and how deep the class is. It's all like this weird puzzle that we really just don't have the answers to or the key.
Yeah. My official advice is I'm heavily targeting Bigsby or heavily targeting. There you go. You see, Buck, I can't even do these. I can't even do these shows with you. So Tuten right now is my most drafted player. 69 teams drafted. 30.4% of my teams have Mr. Bigsby on them. But I am also taking a little bit of Etienne. I'm also taking a little bit of Bigsby. Not very much, though. I guess it looks like Etienne I've only taken in Best Ball Manias. I have Etienne and Bigsby ranked after ADP, but I think you have convinced me a little bit to move Bigsby up a smidgen, just because if my real position, my deeply held belief is that Etienne is the one who is most fragile. Bigsby's not getting cut. Bigsby's not getting traded. He's going to be on the team. I'm not certain of his role, but I am certain that a Liam Coen backfield you want to be invested in.
Liam Coen, noted Rhode Islander, LaSalle High School graduate. We were at rival high schools at the same time when I was in high school with Joe Mazzulla, 2 professional coaches about 15 miles away from each other, rival high schools.
There you go.
That
continues the legend of Buck. There we go. What would your official recommendation be?
My official recommendation is more of a film take, but man, my official recommendation is get over the field on Bigsby and Tuten. Right now, I've got 23% Tuten, or Bigsby rather, and 18% Tuten. And I am probably both of those numbers are probably gonna come down as the summer, as I lack confidence in this take, perhaps. But my official recommendation is, if you're like me and you value running back points and you want to get fucking Tank Bigsby and don't touch Travis Etienne. That's my take.
There you go. All right, everyone. Draft Bhayshul Tuten. Draft a little bit of Bigsby and hope that Travis Etienne lands somewhere that does not ruin some of your other bags. Promo code Davis if you want to try your luck in some best ball fantasy football contests on underdog.com right now. Patreon.com/Davis Mattek for more fantasy football content year round. I'll see y'all soon. It's Short King summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King summer.